welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a little story time. The title is not clickbait. I actually am technically in the current number one movie on Netflix. So I thought I'd tell you guys a little story about that. In the time I was an extra in a movie. I've actually been wanting to make this video for so long, but I had to wait until the movie came out because I didn't want to spoil anything and I just didn't want to find myself in any kind of trouble. But finally the movie is out and I'm ready to tell you guys all about my experience being an extra on the movie Look Both Ways on Netflix, which just came out yesterday. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you go and stream it. But yeah, let's go back all the way to my experience. So this all started late July, early August of last year. I saw a casting call. I get a lot of casting calls for like extra jobs and stuff. And I saw a casting call for a movie that was filming in Texas, which is not a lot of movies filmed near me. So I was really excited, and it was filming in Austin, which is not too far away from me. And that's where my best friend lives. So I had to submit a headshot and my name and like a few other things, nothing major. And I wasn't really sure what to expect. I honestly had not worked an extra job before, so I wasn't sure what to expect. At first I didn't hear back from them from quite a while, and so I thought that maybe I wasn't gonna get the job or something, which was fine, it's whatever, right? But then I heard back from them, I believe, actually late July. I want to say all of this took place in July, not August. So I heard back from them a few days before they needed me to be there to film. Obviously, 2021, and even still now, COVID is a big concern. So the first thing I had to do was make sure to take a COVID test just to be safe on the set and to not spread COVID among all the extras or anybody else who might have been on set. And then they gave me information about filming. So it was the last night of filming in Austin when I was there, and practically the last night of filming for the movie, because I know after Austin, I think they only filmed in like 1 week, for like 1 week in LA, and then I do know they did some reshoots at some point this year, but pretty much I was at the end of filming. I'm sorry, that was my shoe. I was moving it out of the way. My bad, guys. Anyway, I was at the end of filming, and that was pretty exciting. It was the last night of filming in Austin, so obviously everybody, especially like the main actors or any extras who had been on set for a majority of the movie, which I did meet a few people that actually were extras for a good portion of the movie. The energy was just really exciting, and they were all excited to be kind of not necessarily wrapping the entire film, but at least the part of the film that filmed in Austin. So that was pretty exciting. They told me to just take some wardrobe options. I remember at first they had kind of said like some business casual type, but then they changed it and they said more like party, like club attire basically. So I took some options. When I got to set though, which I believe was like super early in the morning, I want to say I showed up like, or was it at night? I can't remember what time I went to set. I could probably find the email about it, but I can't remember what time I went to set, but I know I did work a 12-hour day, and when I got there, let me take you through, I guess, the experience from the beginning. I was going to talk about wardrobe, but let me take you from the beginning. So basically when I got there, there was a base camp, which is where all the trailers are. There was an area, it was not a trailer, but a tent for all the extras. There was also a craft services area. There was a wardrobe trailer where we would change if we needed to, if for whatever reason they didn't like what we went wearing or they wanted us to try a different option. So that was just, and then there was also like a little COVID check area where they would check our COVID test results. So that was the first thing that happened when I got there. They asked for my COVID test results. They made sure everything was all right. I had to get some stuff in order to receive payment, so like I had to show them some ID and stuff like that, fill out some forms, of course. And then after that is when I would have to go to a wardrobe check, and basically in wardrobe check they would look at what I was wearing as well as the wardrobe options that I took. And I remember they liked my wardrobe options, and they actually were going to have me wear something that I took, but it happened to be really sparkly, and then they decided that they weren't sure how it would come off on camera. So they had me try on some other stuff. They liked my pants that I had. I had just some regular black pants, as well as some black wedge shoes, which you honestly can't even see at any point in the film, but it's fine. Obviously, they had to be prepared in case you could see most of me. So they did like my jewelry as well. But the thing that they wanted me to change was my top. So at first, they did have me actually try on a dress, and it was a Moschino dress, and it was like a reddish color. And I remember they really, like, I really wanted to wear it because I love Moschino, and it was really cute. The only thing is it was really low cut. Like, I think my bra was sticking out of the top, and I hadn't thought to take other bra options, so that did not work. So then they gave me this gold blouse, which was really cute, really sparkly. I don't know if it was a name brand. I know the dress was Moschino. I don't know if the blouse that I ended up wearing was name brand, or if it was, I don't remember the brand, but that's what I ended up wearing, and I was really excited. It was really cute, actually. I kind of wanted, like, to see if I could find the same one somewhere. I tried looking for it online, but it's really hard to find when you're just saying, like, gold shiny blouse, but it was long sleeve. It was cute. It also actually was a little bit, it wasn't like low cut, but it was kind of open, if that makes sense. And I remember one of the wardrobe people had like fashion tape, and so they kind of just like taped it together, which was great. And I actually really ended up liking what I wore. And then from base camp, they actually took a shuttle with the extras. They took us to, I don't know if I'm allowed to, I think I'm allowed to say where. They took us to the Austin Public Library, and there they had completely transformed the library into like a kind of like nightclub set, like lounge club setting. It was actually really cool. They also had, we all had to have drinks as props. So the drink I had kind of, obviously none of them were real drinks or even alcohol. It was literally like water with food coloring or like certain things to make it appear like a drink, but it really wasn't. For the most part, it was just water. So the one I had was supposed to look like champagne, which was really cute because my blouse was gold and it just kind of went. And then in between takes, they had kind of these numbered sections, and you would put your drink on the number and remember which one was your number. And I think that was also a big part of that was because of COVID. They didn't want people kind of sharing drinks. We would kind of like, a lot of people would not drink them. I did not drink mine. It was disgusting water. But you would just like kind of put your lips to it and pretend to be drinking it. So obviously they didn't want us to spread COVID. So they kind of had it set up like that. And then you could literally see bookshelves where we were, but the rest of the place was unrecognizable as a library. There was tables, and they just made it look really cute. Also, of course, there was all the camera people. And then in that particular scene, Lily Reinhart, who you might know her as Betty from Riverdale, or I think she was in Hustlers with Jennifer Lopez, with J-Lo, so you might know her from those things. She was the main actress. She's the lead in the movie. So I was actually pretty close to her. They gave us instructions before she even got there. They had like stand-ins for her. Obviously, being the main actress, she doesn't have to be there as many hours as us or have to kind of just be there while they're setting us up. She knows what to do already. So they kind of gave us our instructions. For me, I was kind of like by the bar, and then I would walk over to a table and kind of be standing there chatting with a group of people. So that was basically my instructions. Obviously, you don't actually get to speak. They put all the sounds in post, all the talking noises, anything you hear, which actually in that particular scene that I come out in, because I just watched the movie last night, you can hear a lot of chattering and noise and talking, but all that is completely put in post. We weren't allowed to speak, so you just have to stand there and kind of pretend, and you can do the whole carrots and peas if you want to be cheesy, or a lot of us would actually like be mouthing actual conversations just so it could look realistic. So we'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" But trying our best not to make any sort of noises. That was actually really fun. It was just really fun to be around. Like, the people were so nice, all the other extras. There were so many, but like at least the ones I got to interact with were really nice, and very like we would bounce off of each other. Obviously, our purpose is not to be like acting. Our purpose is really just to be in the background, to fill the space, to do what they tell us. But we did get like a very good like acting kind of vibe going, like where we would greet each other and like chat about this or that and like pretend to compliment each other or like whatever. So that was really fun. And we did film that scene several times, and it's just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and it's so they can get different angles of the shot, and so they can reset, and maybe if they didn't like how the actors actually did the scene, they would have another chance to do it, or whatever the case. We did the scene a lot of times. That scene was actually really fun, though, and I actually got to speak to Lily Reinhart during that scene, during the filming of that. I was very close to her, so basically, like, there would be a hostess at the entrance. Ignore my nails, I don't like how they look today. Anyway, there'd be a hostess at the entrance of where we were. She would walk up to her, and then I was like right here, right. You can't really see me at that point in the actual movie, but I was like right here, and so she would actually, and that's where I would start the take, and then I would walk to the table, like I said. So I actually did get to talk to her, and she was really sweet. We didn't like chat that much, and I wasn't like allowed to speak to her. None of the extras were allowed to like actually speak to her, only if she spoke to us. Luckily, she did speak to me. The first time, it was literally nothing. She wanted to talk to the director, and the director happened to be like right behind me, so she just like said, oh, excuse me, and she was really polite, though, really nice. Even in the second scene I filmed later in the night, which I'll get to in a minute, she was just really kind and like never seemed irritated or annoyed or like a diva or anything like that. And then the second time we spoke, there was like, obviously it's like a restaurant, so it was a fake menu. Obviously they have stuff like that, props and whatnot, just so it looks realistic, like a real place. And she was like reading it and joking, and she turned to me, I guess because I was right there, and she was like, oh my gosh, I wish this was a real restaurant. I would get a peanut butter and jelly. I have a huge sweet tooth. And I thought that was really funny and really nice of her to say. And then I kind of laughed with her, and I said I have a sweet tooth too, even though honestly I don't like sweets very much, but I was just trying to be friendly, so of course I was just gonna go along with it. So that was really fun. And then after that scene, which took several hours, honestly, this was filmed a year ago, so like I said, I'm a little fuzzy on some of the more, like the smaller details. I can't tell you how many hours that scene took exactly, but it took several hours. And a lot of it would be like they had a holding room there in the library. So it'd be like, we do the scene, we go back to the holding room, we come back. And there was like a lot of waiting around as well. It's not like it was just us like doing the scene and doing the scene and doing the scene, you know? Then after that scene, they actually shuttled us back to base camp, which was, I think, like 10 minutes away, if anything. They gave us dinner. I'm like trying to dig into the deepest part of my brains to remember what there was at craft services. I remember liking the snacks. They did have some good snacks. I remember the meal itself I wasn't too fond of, but I just tried to eat because I was there so many hours that obviously I need to have some food. I wish I could remember what it was. I don't. But yeah, we ate under those tents. Luckily, it wasn't too bad of a weather day. I know a lot of times here in Texas it gets super hot in the summer, but luckily it wasn't one of those like excruciatingly hot days, and we did have a tent and it didn't rain or anything, so that was nice. And then some people were not asked to stay for the second scene. I luckily was. They did kind of have to hide me in the second scene just because the second scene is actually like a continuation of the first one, so it wouldn't really make sense, and you can very clearly see me in the first scene, or not clearly, but you can see me pretty well. So by the time you go to the second scene, it just wouldn't make sense for the same person to be there, but they just needed me to fill space, essentially. So I didn't have to change wardrobe. Some people did have to change wardrobe if they weren't exactly seen in the first scene, and they were maybe had a chance of being seen in the second, just to make them a little unrecognizable. And then some people were just asked not to stay at all, because that second scene was filmed on a rooftop, and there wasn't as much space as there was indoors, so they just didn't need as many people. So anyway, after dinner, they shuttled us back to the library. The library, actually, if you've ever been to the Austin Public Library, highly recommend checking out the rooftop, especially at night. Very nice. I didn't know that existed. I didn't know that was there. Obviously, I don't live in Austin, so I've never gone to the library, but there's a really cool rooftop, and that's where we filmed the other scene. And it was like an animation studios kind of like, I guess, party or like work party. So they did have it decorated. There was a bunch of fake food, which at some hour of the night, I remember people like really wanted to eat the food, but it was fake. It wasn't even real food. Again, I think there were some fake drinks. In that scene, I didn't have anything, neither food nor drink, but there was. It felt like a bigger space, but also it was like less extras. So I don't know why it felt like, maybe it's because there were less people. But yeah, they had set up the rooftop. There was like couches, and there was a bar, and there was like a snack or like hors d'oeuvre table or whatever. I'm trying to remember. There was like, I think like a DJ as well. Obviously none of this was real. It was all just like part of the set, but and then there was like animated characters all around as decorations because it was like an animation studios party. So that was fun. I know in that scene they had like those standing tables. I was at a standing table for a second chatting with some people. Then I would walk over to like, kind of like where the couches were, and I would stand there and chat with some other people or chat. And that scene was actually, by the time we got to like hour 12 of working, it was very intense. I did, once again, I was near Lily, and I cannot remember at this moment the actor who plays her love interest, which she has two love interests in this movie, but the LA love interest, I genuinely cannot remember his name, but he was there as well. At one point, I think he kind of sensed maybe that people were a little agitated and whatnot. So he actually got, like, they had the camera rig, and he actually got on it, and he was like driving it around. So that was pretty funny and just a fun kind of lighthearted moment in between scenes. That scene in particular, though, they did from like every single angle. I don't know how many takes were done, but it was a lot. I was in these wedge heels, so after a while they did become painful. I remember towards the end of the scene at like 5 a.m, they literally, the AD was like, go ahead, if you have like heels on, take them off. If you're not even standing in the same place you were before, just do what you can, like, we're just gonna get this last shot. And then so we did, and yeah, like I said, that second scene was intense, but it happened. It was fun. And it was definitely a great experience. I really liked being on set, and I would love to be an extra again, or like even actually get to act in a movie would be insane. So yeah, that's pretty much my experience. As for the movie itself, speaking not as someone who, okay, I'll get to that in a second, but speaking not as someone who was in it necessarily, but just as someone who watched it, it was pretty good. Netflix movies can be quite cheesy or just hard to watch. This one was actually very entertaining. I enjoyed watching it. Basically, Lily's character kind of goes on two different paths, and you actually see like two different versions of her life play out. Like, they go back and forth. In one, she becomes pregnant after graduating from college. She stays in Austin, and she has a whole nother life there. And in the other, she doesn't become pregnant, and she goes to LA, and she has a whole life there. So it's like two alternate realities, I guess you could say, and it flips back and forth between what her life could be if either situation happened. So it's really entertaining. I think it's a different concept as well. I think I've seen maybe one other movie with a similar concept, but it's not something overdone. I thought it was interesting. I liked it. And yeah, you can actually, even since the trailer came out, you can see me in the trailer. I'm blurred because I'm literally right behind Lily, and like obviously they blur the background behind her, but you can see it, and you can tell it's me by my gold blouse. And I mean, there's one thing I always have, and that's some hoop earrings, and you can also see like the outline of my hair and everything. So I'm gonna insert some pictures right now of my time on set, and I think I have maybe some video clips as well. Whatever I have, I'll insert it right now. I also I'll show you where you can see me in the scene. Better. All right, and yeah, that's it. So that's my story time. I've been holding that in for a year. I'm glad I was able to share it with you all. Oh, and I forgot one like kind of fun fact, I guess. I forgot to mention, and I am allowed to say this because I know it was public information. When I was on the movie for the last year, over a year, it was actually called Plus Minus, and they changed the movie kind of at the last minute. I remember when the trailer came out and I saw that the movie had a different name, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it's now called Look Both Ways, like I said. But yeah, that was not the original title, so I don't know where I was trying to say why and where at the same time. I don't know where the decision to change it came from, but that was something interesting that I thought you guys might be interested in knowing. So anyway, that was my story time today. If y'all have any other questions about my time on set, about the movie, about anything, or any comments in general, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified every time I post a video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.